OEM 79-04 Mustang rubber A-arm bushings were designed for comfort, not high-performance driving. If you've still got the rubber A-arm bushings your pony was born with, they're well past their prime. When you're autocrossing your Mustang, those old rubber bushings are a weak link. Installing better bushings in the OEM A-arms is an inexpensive way to improve performance. This video provides my autocross-tested review of the PROTHANE Polyurethane A-arm bushings I've used on my autocross Mustangs. Always check the rules for your SCCA category before changing your A-arm bushings. PROTHANE offers a number of polyurethane A-arm bushing kits for 79-04 Mustangs. I've installed PROTHANE Polyurethane A-arm bushings in all three of my autocross Mustangs at various points over the years. I used PROTHANE part number 6-205BL bushings on my 1992 GT, and PROTHANE part number 6-217BL bushings on my 2000 GT and my 2004 V6. This review covers those part numbers. Between all three cars, I've put the PROTHANE Polyurethane A-arm bushings through their paces at over 135 autocross events. Full disclosure, I've upgraded my 2000 GT with BMR tubular A-arms with custom Delrin bushings, my 1992 GT with Global West Delalume A-arm bushings, and I'm going to put BMR tubular A-arms with Delrin bushings on my 2004 V6 in the future. There are definitely better options than polyurethane, but I'm sharing my review because I know many people want to autocross their Mustangs without the extra expense of aftermarket A-arms or the added noise, vibration, and harshness, NVH, of Delrin A-arm bushings. Let's talk about the drawbacks of OEM rubber A-arm bushings and the benefits of the PROTHANE Polyurethane A-arm bushings. OEM 79-04 Mustang rubber A-arm bushings are relatively soft to limit NVH. That softness diminishes steering response. Rubber A-arm bushings are more prone to damage from repeated stress and stretching, UV rays, solvents, oil, and heat. The PROTHANE Polyurethane A-arm bushings I've used have a higher durometer than OEM rubber bushings, which means they're harder. They have less deflection, which translates into improved steering response. They help the A-arms do their job more effectively. The car feels more confident, composed, and consistent during rapid changes of direction. Polyurethane bushings can often last the lifetime of your vehicle because they hold up better to repeated stress, UV rays, solvents, oil, and heat. You will experience a little more NVH with higher durometer polyurethane bushings. But if your OEM rubber A-arm bushings are decades old and worn out, you'll notice the improved steering response more than the added harshness. PROTHANE includes clear and concise instructions. Removing the OEM rubber bushings from their shells and installing the PROTHANE 6-205BL or 6-217BL poly bushings in the A-arms is relatively simple. But getting the A-arms out of the car can be a challenge for beginners, and there is danger involved when removing stock-style springs. Always follow proper safety protocols if you do the install yourself. It's extremely important to lube poly bushings with the correct grease. PROTHANE includes their super grease, and it does a great job of ensuring smooth operation and reducing noise. On average, it took me 7 hours to get the A-arms out of the car, the bushings installed, and the car back together. You will need an alignment after reinstalling the A-arms. Here's what I think of the quality, performance, and durability of PROTHANE 6-205BL and 6-217BL poly A-arm bushings after years of using them for autocross. The bushings have well-defined edges, and you won't find many imperfections in the polyurethane. All of the PROTHANE poly A-arm bushings I've used have fit snugly in the OEM bushing shells with no slop or play. The sleeves are a tight fit, and they sit flush with the outer edges of the bushings. They're a simple part, but they're very well made. The quality control has been consistent with every set I've purchased. My goal is to always provide accurate and honest reviews of the parts I've used. This review is based on taking old, tired rubber bushings out of a car and replacing them with new poly bushings. It's not comparing the performance of brand new rubber bushings to brand new poly bushings. That does exaggerate the improvement. If you still have the rubber bushings your Mustang left the factory with, these PROTHANE polyurethane A-arm bushings will definitely improve the steering response when you're attacking the cones. And I think it's safe to say they will perform better than a fresh set of OEM-style rubber A-arm bushings. But if PROTHANE poly A-arm bushings are the only mod you've made to your front suspension, don't expect them to completely transform your car. I took the OEM A-arms with PROTHANE poly bushings out of my 2000 GT after more than 100 autocross events. I learned how to autocross in this car, which means these bushings were subjected to every late steering input, countless over-aggressive braking inputs that led to massive understeer, lots of last-second corrections to avoid cones, over a dozen spins, and every other driving mistake a novice can make. They've also sped through slaloms and offset elements, and dealt with slow pivot cones and high-speed lane changes. I drove my car as hard as I could at every autocross event. These PROTHANE A-arm bushings have definitely been battle-tested. And aside from the lube being a little dirty, and some damage that happened during installation, they're more than ready to easily handle another 100 autocross events. I always say there's a lot of speed hiding in the spaces between the hard parts of your suspension. Upgrading your bushings eliminates a weak link and makes the car feel more capable, composed, and confident when being pushed. If using polyurethane bushings in the OEM A-arms is the best option for your 79 to 04 autocross Mustang, PROTHANE 6-205BL and 6-217BL poly A-arm bushings are a great choice. They're high quality, they offer a good amount of improved performance for the money, and they hold up extremely well under tough autocross conditions.